All right, woo! Thank you, everybody. Here we are. This is Tape Crusaders. We are here to review Blade 2. This is Tape Crusaders. I already said that. I'm your co-host, Mike L. And as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Mervell, and as always, we are joined by Ian, Champion.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Woo.
Appreciate being joining you here.
Well, thanks for hosting.
58th time in a row or so.
In a
60th?
row, yeah. One of these
that.
days, I'm not going to be here for one, and well, I guess
No,
we can't do
We'll
it
be
because
recording
And then we just-
outside
and
in
then
front
we
of
just-
me.
Yeah, exactly. And okay. And look at this. He walks in the door, and he's automatically on our show. We got Ryan here. Woo!
Hi, Ryan.
All right.
Blade 2, it's not just because I walked there. It's Blade 2.
Right.
It's because it's
I
Blade
was,
2.
I was here for you guys and Blade 2.
We actually had a bigger crowd than usual, I think. And I think it's because of Blade 2.
We had a spectacular crowd.
Yeah.
A lot of people who were here for Blade 1,
Yeah.
which went over very well, and this movie did not disappoint. I don't think it let anyone down tonight.
No, I don't think so. It's funny because when these movies came out, I kind of neglected them a little bit, even though I was a superhero comic book fan. And then I rewatched them maybe 10 years after, and I liked them. And now this is my third round for all these Blade films. And I just watched 2. Before that, we all watched 1 a few months ago. Obviously, the visuals are better in this one.
Much better, yeah.
Much better. But my first impression of just watching it again, I think the story in the first one might be a little bit better.
It's much better, I
Josh,
think.
what do you think? Yeah?
I think the first one is still much better than the second one. I know a lot of people kind of hold this one really dear and kind of regard it as the best of the 3 Blade movies, but I don't think that the story was there for me. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I just don't think I loved it as much as I did Blade 1.
Champion.
I don't have to say anything. Just loop in what Josh said and just make my mouth do this. That's essentially my take on this as well. This was a lot of fun. I can see why this is a lot of people's favorite Blade movie, like 100%. It did what Blade movies do really, really well, which is this grandiose spectacle. Wesley Snipes being this trench coat, sunglasses wearing badass who jumps around with a sword and kills vampires. That was spectacular. When it strayed into let's make this a movie territory, trying to tell a story, it really started to fall apart there. Not enough that I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think it should have stuck to what it knows how to do, and that is just to be a theme park ride.
Sure.
And I enjoyed it on that level.
Okay. Ryan, what do you think?
I think we're going to have a throwdown because I disagree.
Oh, okay.
This is my empire in the Blade series. Like, hard. Like, this is...
Most people's,
The story is garbage. But
That's our point.
but kind of what you said...
That's what makes Empire better.
Yeah,
is
that's
the
what makes
story.
Empire better than Star Wars.
So I'm saying it's a better movie overall. The story lacks, but it was 4 years after the first one. Like you said, the visuals, when you say visuals, like the special effects, they were better from like scene to scene. Overall, they were better. The only problem I had was with on the big spotlight, the super rubbery, cartoony CGI, the jumping and the flipping and whatever's that 20, 30 seconds was cheese as hell. But the action's better, the tech is better, and this came out the same year as 28 Days Later.
Interesting.
So this was the new take on evolved vampire thing, the same year that the evolved zombie thing came out. And I think that's what set it apart from everything else.
Which I just rewatched last week. 28 Days Later.
Fantastic.
Yep, it is. Well, here's the thing. The first one did have a good visual style, and that's probably what set it apart from the other superhero movies that came before it, right? But now we have Guillermo del Toro, who now has become this huge director based mostly on his visuals. And also, I got to say, his, like, the what's it called? Like, the characters in his films, the
practical effects,
the practical effects. He's the best. He's the best in Hollywood at that. There's no question.
Sure. Yeah.
And in this movie, just the freaking vampire with the mouths that open sideways. I think everyone is gonna have a nightmare about that tonight, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and at that moment when the first face opened up, it was like getting splashed with a bucket of cold water.
Yeah.
First of all, like, this is going to be very interesting visually. Yeah. Second of all, this is 1,000,000% a Guillermo del Toro movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's got his fingerprints all over this. And it works so well. It's so great to see, and since this movie came out in 2002, we're still in that uncanny valley CGI era where when you're using a computer effect, you can see it. I spent half of this movie just like, how the hell are they doing this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, what's funny is, Ryan, you mentioned, I think, the fight scene in front of the spotlights.
Yeah.
Even though, the movement was CGI, I never thought that the figures themselves look CGI. It's like the texture. If I just looked at the texture, it didn't take me out of it. It was the movement, right?
I think that, and that's the wonderful thing about Guillermo del Toro. I think that it almost works that scene, those couple of shots, because of the way that he filmed it. He knew the limitations of the visual effects in 3D animation.
Right.
So he decided to shoot it with a spotlight behind them. So it is just shadow, essentially. It's just their silhouettes doing that movement.
And that hides it.
So it definitely hides that.
And it was only a portion of that. The rest of the martial arts and the choreography were bang on, but just, you can see, and I think he was one part artistic, and like you said, his fingerprint on it, but it was one part he knew.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we don't want it to make it look too cheese, but add
which is
15
kind
seconds,
of brilliant when you think about it, because this, again, is still in the infancy of CGI, and so many people were leaning on it so heavily, right? This is going to be the new way of doing things. And he had the foresight to look at it and say, maybe, but not today.
Yeah.
And here's how we're going to mitigate that.
Well, then there was the autopsy scene, which to me recalled the first Alien film, right? Like the first Alien was probably the best depiction of alien life that looked 100% real. And this film, it's not alien, but it's foreign, right? It's like basically like a different kind of heart with bone around it and this, that, and the other. And you're sitting there going like, it just looks 100% real. Yeah. And you feel that like repulsion. Like, remember the part where one of them said, I think the girl said to do something with his fang.
Oh, yeah.
And then
squeeze the
squeeze. And Norman Reedus was like freaked out by it, and I freaked out by it. And then what did Blade say? Remember?
Don't be a pussy.
No,
pussy.
Sissy. He's sissy.
Yeah.
Sissy. Yeah. But he said it in such a weird way. It was like so weird. But anyway, that was like when they're reaching into the mouth.
It's real, right? Like they did such
molars.
a great job with the practical effects. Yep. And one movie I would really love to watch here one day is Pacific Rim. It's a really fun movie. It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Well, me and Ian were talking about how much we hated it before.
Really?
I
love it.
I didn't say that I hated it. Okay. I said that I was dragged there to see it, and
didn't like it.
I kind of hated it.
I really liked it a lot.
It was visually interesting at times, but it was just very dark and very wet and very it was just
very Japanese.
In a way.
Nothing wrong with that.
But here's the thing. And speaking of dark and wet, we got to talk about the dark and wetness of this movie.
Oh, sorry. Real quick, what I was going to say is some of the best scenes in that movie, Pacific Rim, are the practical moments. Like there's so many. Like Ron Perlman's character in that movie, he has this like underground trading thing where he like takes these kaiju parts and has this like black market. And when he's like pulling these bugs out and they're still alive and moving around, they're building like bug animatronics. Like the best parts of Guillermo del Toro's movies, I think, are when he uses those practical moments to make the scenes feel real. Yeah. And those autopsy scenes are great. It could be goofy and corny, but it works in this movie because of just how like visceral it is, like so real.
Visceral is a great word for that.
Yeah.
So, but now here's the thing though, is like the first one was no slouch in the visual department. Now I was talking to people at the bar after, and I think one of the key things about this film that I think we all liked less, most of us, maybe not Ryan, was that the first film had an entry point into this world, right? With what was the character, the girl, I don't remember who she was or what she did, but we went to her apartment and she was like the normal person. And so we saw this world through her eyes. But in this movie, there wasn't really that normal character.
Yeah, there was no fish out of water.
Nobody,
There was no.
nobody. And at first you're like, oh well, Norman Reedus is kind of that character, but not really. He's goofy. He's he's kind of like the annoying kid sidekick. And then there's the twist later on that we actually find out he's working for the bad guys. So yeah, I think one problem with this film is that we don't see we see almost nothing of the normal real world. It reminds me of Batman Returns. Batman Returns, there was no daylight in Batman Returns. It was all sets and lights and fighting and costumes. And in this movie, I think it suffered from the same problem. It was all underground and in bars, and it was almost like John Wick, fight, not enough story. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. And that's what makes it awesome.
The trilogy. Yeah.
No. What I don't like about movies is, for a movie to be like top notch when it's limited to only one set, one backdrop, or a couple different scenes, like it has to be like the dialogue's gotta be bang on, the writing's gotta be bang on, the directing. This is one of the reasons I liked it. Like you may say it takes away from it, but I like that it just hit the ground running. Like you said, there was no backstory. Like, how many times can you tell the story about Peter Parker's uncle and then bitten by the spider?
Yeah, for sure.
So the second one is just, boom, guns blazing, let's hit the ground running. But the fact that it hops around from place to place to place, I enjoyed that. You got to see a few different things. And again, I think it's a lot of this movie is like a lot of scenes, a lot of aspects, a lot of kind of the benefits of the movie is the Del Toro, his brain, the way it works. It's dark, it's gritty, it's underground because you're fighting vampires against vampires, and what's their only weakness is daylight. So it's got to be in dungeons and whatevers. So I think it just keeps it going. And this movie, like, I looked down at my watch a couple times. I've seen it so many times, but I'm like, this is not a movie that's dragging on. It just goes bang, 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 bang. And I like that. And it didn't have to be tied to the dark New York City kind of whatever skyscape. I think the underground, the tunnels, the dungeons, the vampire lair, that's all part of the vampire versus Blade versus whatever.
So I do agree with you with like the set pieces working really well, and how like quickly everything went, and like going from scene to scene to scene. But I remember distinctly talking about this exact thing for the first Blade when we all talked about it. Like I feel like we all agreed that. I think we even talked about Uncle Ben's death.
I'm sure we repeat topics over and over on this
Bruce
podcast.
Wayne's parents being murdered, and we like the fact that we didn't see that. We didn't have this like flashback origin for Blade.
On the
yeah.
No.
The pearls. The.
I'm not saying we need a
popcorn.
flashback to origin. I'm just saying that it would have been nice to have a break from all of the spectacle, to have just a normal shot of a street and them doing something normal, getting groceries.
There's a couple alleys.
The moments I was missing were the characters trying to figure out what was going on. Because
that's part of it.
In this movie,
grocery store, figuring out what's going on. There's a scene.
Right. Like, it's
go ahead.
In this movie, what is their goal in this movie? Killed bad vampire?
Okay.
Like there's
it's a little ambiguous.
There's a virus,
and that's like the hook, right?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to like follow that story along and figure out what's going on, or at least have like obstacles to get through. Right at the beginning of the movie, the vampires come to him and say, "There's a badder vampire and we need your help." And he's like, okay, like doesn't question it at all. He's okay. He hasn't even seen this badder vampire. How does he know that they're not tricking him right from the start?
He admits, he goes, I think it's
why
a trap.
Why does he go with it? Like, I don't
actually.
like
That's
it
the exact
doesn't,
scene. When they say that, the music comes in too. Like as soon as like there's someone's that's badder than you or worse than you, it actually cuts to a cityscape, downtown, overhead view, and like gets you going. I remember that specifically. That's
okay.
So there's your city scene there.
But
there
once we get that hook of like there's a badder vampire, we need your help. That's the rest of the movie. They just kill badder vampires. Like there's nothing else going on. It's just fights until the end battle.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it's the John Wick problem. Have you seen John Wick, Ian?
I haven't seen John Wick. Is it like this?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. I like John Wick, but it's just 2 hours of fight scene.
Well,
Right.
that's the thing, right? Like, I'm going to respectfully disagree with Ryan here, because I was also looking at my watch here and there, and
You got the opposite feeling?
I was getting tired of it. Like, it just, I needed a palate cleanser. I needed to take a step back and use my brain for something other than watching people get punched. And even watching people get punched, that was getting tiring because it was hordes of faceless super vampires that we don't see them other than they're trying to bite someone. We got to know the main one, and that's about it. There was some opportunity here, and they touched on it a little bit when that girl's boyfriend, he wasn't bit, but he turned into one anyway, and then she sacrificed herself to kill him. But that was almost an afterthought. That could have been a very emotionally charged scene, right? Because they're a couple, and like, why didn't we see more of him changing and maybe a little bit more? Should we try and save him? Should we? No, he just all of a sudden turned into one of these super vampires, and 2 seconds later he's dead. We should have had more of that, more moral discussions about.
I mean, even like we don't really see him thinking about it or like have a resolution to it, but they hint at this idea that Blade has some conflict within him with the one woman vampire that's the pure blood. But we don't really understand why he has like a soft spot for her.
Because she's
pretty,
cute,
I guess.
She's pretty and she's a girl. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. But like
the man's lonely.
Imagine if we.
But he's got Kris Kristofferson.
Yeah. Imagine if all of that whole group of vampires were all purebloods, and then we have this conversation while hunting these badder vampires about, listen, we didn't choose this.
Yeah.
We were born into being a vampire. What makes us different from you? Like, you were also born into this. Like, we're not so different, right? So then Blade can kind of maybe have these moments of like, seeing things from their point of view. You know what I mean? Like,
movie. Like basically, I know what you mean. Okay, first of all, with all these Blade movies, and this is why I didn't like them in the first place, like 30 years ago or whatever, is 20, 25, whatever, is that there's this level of like false toughness of like Wesley Snipes is like a 2-note character. Kris Kristofferson is like a 2.5-note character. And they're all trying to be tough all the time. And when they first meet, what's the guy's name? The head guy from the group who's in all of Guillermo del Toro's movies.
Oh, Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
When they first meet him, he's
Reinhardt.
like, oh, he's got to come up and, like size him up. It's you're just like, okay, these are not real people. They are cartoon characters with one dimension, right? There's no depth to them. And so I know what you're saying. Like, you'd like to see a little bit of actual human emotion, but it's almost like this franchise is not capable of it.
I'm just shaking my head. No,
it's not
more
gonna
John
happen.
Wick, more vampires, more tech, more martial
gadgets,
arts. Yeah, it's
more
not going to win an Oscar.
more sunglasses flying through the air.
oh man, how great was that?
Awesome! Yes, it was so good.
Perfect.
Outrageously
So to
awesome.
add to Ian's complaint about that scene about the lack of a love story about like, oh no, don't go into the sun, something more dramatic. I thought of two things. I think the only problem with that scene was the fact that Donnie Yen got taken out in 2 seconds. Dude is a ninja. He's a mastered samurai kung fu like legend, and he played like 2 scenes dead. That sucked for me. The other thing is, we're joking about the glasses, tossing the glasses. Again, that's like an iconic comic book reference, whatever's. He had another stupid dramatic scene. You want drama? It's the scene that you hated from the first one, where he's sitting down and looking. The first movie was a box. He opens up something about his mom, and he has a little inner whatever moment. This one was he pulls out the gun from the red velvet box that Whistler killed himself with. While I was watching the movie for the 10th time, I was like, did he go back for the gun? And then what happened to Whistler?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
scene
know.
doesn't make any sense.
That was
again.
pretty confusing. I filed that away. I forgot about it entirely.
Because you
brought
blocked
it up
it out
again.
because you hated it.
I thought that was like that. Well, that's going to be a setup for something later on.
No, it was literally they could have cut the first one from the first movie and just pasted it in here and then swapped the prop.
So okay, this is what I
Maybe
always
we
such
should
a
talk
weird
about
scene.
him being back.
Yeah, how is he back?
Doesn't make any sense.
Ryan, you've seen this movie many times.
Yeah,
how is he
I
back?
love this movie. No one knows. That's the whole thing. We don't know.
Okay.
It's going to leave it open for a third and a fourth and a fifth movie, obviously.
Well, is it explained in the third movie?
The third? Spoiler alert. The third one does have to do with Whistler again.
Okay,
And
well-
it's but not the same. Anyways.
Okay,
yeah.
we won't spoil it, but okay. So
you've seen the third.
I have seen it once.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But yeah, it's.
But wait, you've seen this one 2 times.
Yeah, I've seen this one 2
You have
times.
to see Blade. You have to see that one 3 times as well.
I know, but my compulsion.
Are
yes,
you-
I know.
are you twitching?
I'm twitching right now.
Oh
yes,
boy,
yes.
you're gonna have to go home
I
and
think it's
watch it
because I
twice
saw 1
to
and
catch
2 in the
up.
theater, and then I never saw 3 until later. That's why.
Right.
I saw 1 less. Yeah.
Okay, the whole Whistler thing, it's stupid. I really hate it. The fact that he's back
tables down.
doesn't make any sense. When he does come back, there's a hint of like a question of like, are you a vampire? And he's fine, he survived, and then he's just like in charge again and helping him. Like there's no
There's
like
a little bit of Blade going like, well, keep your enemies close, or keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So he's a little bit suspicious, but there's no follow up to that at all.
it's nothing. And then
Also-
even the twist of like they try to make it like a twist, like the bad guy's like, we kept you alive to lure you out. Like, how is that a twist?
And we haven't mentioned the fact that he cured vampirism, right? Whistler was
basically.
changed. He was made
Right.
into a vampire. Came back, locked him in a closet for 12 hours.
Yeah,
It was like-
but he had some techno babble. This is some sort of weird reagent,
Yeah.
antiviral
So
serum.
Why aren't they mass producing this and giving it to like 3M or Steve Jobs or something and being like, here, just have at it. Save the world.
That's like a question you could ask for every movie, right? Of this franchise, of this genre.
Add it to
I
our
know.
list of what the fuck.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And then if we're going to talk about twists, Norman Reedus' turn is dumb too.
Well, as we said
who's
in our
that?
previous,
The-
the
Scud.
kid, the smoking kid.
It's like Stud, but
Jesse
Scud.
Pinkman?
yeah,
Yeah.
basically. There's no foreshadowing. There's no foreshadowing.
Why were the vampires trying to kill him in the scene when he's stuck in the van?
Because the badder vampires were trying to kill him, not the good
okay,
vampires.
I see.
Yeah.
It's the batter vampires.
He was working for the good vampires.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, anyways,
that's pretty straightforward.
there's no hint whatsoever that he is going to turn.
That's a good point. Yeah, and that's why
Like, there's nothing.
And it doesn't make sense in terms of his backstory as to how he hooked up with Blade, right? He was
Wait.
camping and he was
Yeah.
attacked by some girls.
unless they
and
recruited
then-
him after that. I don't know.
But
was a setup.
according to his story, Blade saved him.
Yeah.
So what if Blade hadn't been there and he just died? I don't know.
I don't know.
No, man, it was all planned from the beginning.
I think it's one of those forced twists. It
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
quite.
We'll have
make
to read the
sense.
comics. We'll have to dive
I'm
in.
sure that's not in the comics, but
No.
I don't know. Well, okay, so here's the thing.
Big old fan.
This is notoriously considered the best one of the trilogy, but I think the consensus tonight, based on everyone I talked to except Ryan, is that they like the first one better. They like the first one better. Ryan, what do you think?
They're entitled to their opinions.
Audience, which one's better, 1 or 2?
1.
Ooh.
They have their merits.
Ooh,
Okay. Ooh, there's going to be an argument tonight. After
I
the show.
had fun watching this movie.
Yeah.
I liked this
Yeah,
movie.
me too.
I want to be
did,
clear.
I did enjoy it. I just thought that because the first one was so shockingly good. When
Yeah.
we watched it, we're like,
Yeah.
wait, this is better than most Marvel Studios films.
And then
right?
I feel like it's always the consensus that this one's
Yeah.
better. So maybe I just had too high of hopes for this
Right.
one. And then when it was like not as good, I felt
Yeah.
really let down and thought it was like
I
way
hear you.
worse. But it makes me excited to watch the third one, and I know it's going to be bad. But I love Wesley Snipes as Blade. He's fantastic.
He believes, as we
Yeah.
said before, he believes.
He really does. There are these just great moments where like nobody else could pull this off, and not like this. Like there will never be another Blade.
That's true.
It's just there's something special that he captures about this character that's so fun.
Ian, Wesley Snipes.
I have no idea how he does it.
right.
I have no idea how he is so completely convincing as that character. I don't know if I can think of another actor that is more dedicated to their role
Right.
Honestly,
than
Well-
Wesley Snipes as Blade.
There's that old thing about, Daniel Day-Lewis stays in character for a year. No, Wesley Snipes has been in character for 25 years.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He's never gone out of character.
I part of me believes that Wesley Snipes is a daywalker.
yeah.
Part of me believes that he is
100%.
part vampire. I don't know, and it
Okay.
it
The
is
comic
so
book
impressive.
is based off of him.
Oh,
At this point.
Listen, I have a premise for a movie. Have you ever heard of the movie Shadow of the Vampire? It's a movie where you've seen this, right?
Yeah, but
It's a movie about the making of a Nosferatu, and Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck, the actor who plays Nosferatu.
okay, yes, yeah.
But the premise of Shadow of the Vampire is that Max Schreck is a vampire. So what they should do is they should make a movie about
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes playing Blade, and you find out Wesley Snipes is a vampire.
That would be
a
great.
great movie right there, right?
that's it.
There you go.
And that movie is called Blade Trinity.
Yeah, hopefully.
He-
Hopefully.
He faked not paying his taxes
Yeah,
because he was like deep
Vampires
underground
don't
for a
pay
couple of
taxes.
years and,
Yeah, exactly.
and fighting the good fight. Yeah, I don't know. I did like this movie.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to watch it again one day. It was fun. So
But after the lofty heights of Blade 1, it's just not quite as good.
it's not. Yeah, I agree.
All right, champion, what's your final word?
It was a lot of fun, and the lack of a solid story is almost made up for by the spectacular practical effects. Watching these vampires dissolve
Yeah.
into fiery skeleton pieces, I didn't get tired of it.
Right.
And it happened 500,000 times
Right,
in this
right.
movie. And up to the very last one, I was like, oh, wow. But the lack of story was a bit of a letdown. And it kind of ruined what could have been one of the best scenes in the movie, which is the very end when what's-her-face, he's holding her and then the sun
Yeah.
comes up and then she dissolves into embers in his arms. If there was any emotional history
Yeah.
behind that
Good
scene,
point.
it would have felt like something. But instead, and here's another thing: when I bought this Blu-ray legitimately, I checked it before I brought it here. I scrubbed through it and I saw that scene, so I kind of spoiled it for myself. But I didn't know there'd be nothing behind it.
Right.
So I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's a powerful visual. And then it just sort of felt empty, seeing it in the context
and they
of
also
the actual
cut
movie.
it. Like I was paying attention to the editing, and it's kind of like the sun came up, she disappeared. There was no lingering on him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my
Nothing
god.
for him.
In,
Yeah.
in fact, we see more of
Something.
Kris Kristofferson's response to
Yeah.
it because we actually get a close up of him.
Good point.
But Blade, we're just seeing him in the medium shot.
Good point. Good point.
It was still fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun, but I think our expectations were raised by Blade 1.
Yeah.
Ryan, the final word on Blade 2.
Three things really quick. First, number 2 is better. Second, nobody talked about how bad the acting was from Nisa's character, the actress. She was like a C-level
yeah.
soap opera.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Telemundo
I think
actress.
it's
She was
fine. I think she was
just
bad.
bad.
No, I agree with
Some of her line
I
delivery.
agree with Ryan on that. She wasn't that.
Rough.
But what was the last thing I was going to say is to your idea earlier, Blade 4, the search for Whistler again. That's the name.
That's what you want to call it, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because you can't have Blade without Whistler.
The search for Whistler again.
the
Again.
search for
Yeah.
Again.
The search for Whistler again.
Is that all in
Because-
one line, or is it the
In
search for
space.
Whistler again?
It's good.
... again.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's-
That's good.
and- because how can you have a Blade movie without Whistler?
That's
You
true.
can't. He's in all three.
Blade steals the Enterprise to go find Blade's corpse
yes.
or Whistler's corpse.
Okay, so here's the thing. We have become Blade fans because of doing this podcast. I mean, Blade was always there, but we didn't love Blade until doing this podcast. Well, maybe you did love Blade, but we didn't.
I got a tattoo actually.
Oh, look at that. Okay. But we are going to be reviewing, I think it's a confirmed champion. I think we have to review Blade 3, Trinity. What do you think?
Well, are we going to be disappointed in Blade 3 that it isn't
Well,
as bad as we
it's-
thought it was going to be?
Well, because it's the worst of the trilogy, so we know it's going to be bad. But I think we can expect a big audience. Who's going to come out for Blade Trinity? Woo! See?
we have a trio. A trio.
Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, Patton Oswalt is in number 3. I looked this up.
We
today.
have to watch it.
Triple H, but not Triple H. He's credited as whatever his
Oh,
real name is.
we're in.
Parker Posey.
Oh shit! Really? I forgot
Yeah,
about
shit.
that.
Oh, and Dominic Purcell.
We're
plays-
in, we're
plays Drake. Yeah, come on.
Oh yeah, we're in 100%.
Come on. Look at that lineup.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
All right, Champion will allow it. Okay, there you go. There's our Blade 2 review. A little bit disappointed over here, but Ryan insists it's the best of the trilogy.
One of the greatest movies ever made.
I'm not saying disappointed. I was not disappointed in
Disappointed
it.
compared to 1.
Yeah.
It just it fell a little short. I still had a really good time.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely liked it, but it's one of those where when you're done, you go, there's a couple things they didn't do right.
It's missed opportunities.
Reflection.
Missed opportunities in this movie.
Yeah. But we'll be here for Blade Trinity, and you'll be here for Blade Trinity. Hopefully, you'll be here every week at Meteor for movie night. But yeah, it's a fun time every week at Meteor here. Thank you, Champion, for having us every week.
Anytime. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Ryan, for walking in the door and being our guest, as usual.
Anytime.
Anytime you walk in the door, you're our guest. And Josh, you can tell us where you can find our episodes.
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff over on our website at comicbooksyndicate.com. You can also find all of the video format versions on our YouTube channel, so check us out there. Let us know what you guys think about Blade 2.
Until the next time, see you later.
Sissy.